Summer's the worst. Drives me crazy. It's too hot to go out and bushwhack. Everything is overgrown. This year has been bad. It seems like every time it gets hot and then it'll rain and rain and rain. And so here we are, we're pushing towards the end of August and everything is still green as hell. It's been a really weird year. It's been a really weird couple of years. So all the grass is, super tall, super thick. You can't really get out into the bush and do a whole lot of work. It drives me nuts with this stuff. If you did, you just end up getting ticks and snake bit and everything else and mosquitoes. Not my idea of a good time. I've always had this problem. It's kind of hard to go out and do field investigations when it's this hot. Here it is. We're first thing in the morning. I'm heading out. The sun is just barely up, and it's already 81 degrees. So I guess we're gonna do what we can do. But I got a new tool that I'm hoping is going to open up a few doors for me to be able to be more effective, especially during the summertime when traditionally all my field research has come to a screeching halt. So I'm headed out right now and we're going to deploy a drone at a couple of different locations that I've been doing some field work on, and pretty excited about what this drone is going to be able to do for me. I worked a couple of side jobs this summer, so not heat and air but teaching side jobs, and had a bunch of money that wasn't accounted for, so I went ahead, splurged, and got myself a drone. Didn't go cheap this time. I mean, it's not a super expensive drone, but it's a pretty good drone. So I'm pretty happy with it. I've played with it a little bit, but I'm still learning how to work it. So anyway, we're going to go out, take a look at some of these locations, and for the most part, I'm hoping that this drone is going to let us do some actual field investigative type work without getting away from the car very far. I guess we'll just have to see. Maybe we can all learn a little bit from this. Anyway, let's hurry up and get out there before it gets too unbearable. So it's going to be a sweat fest within an hour. I do like winter time. See you when we get out there. Okay, take note right here. You'll notice that my picture quality goes down considerably whenever I start facing the sun. So theoretically, again, you could probably get some better shots as long as you can keep the back of the drone to the sun. One of my original plans of how to actually deploy this drone accurately to be able to gather evidence was to use it to fly over fields so that I could check for footprints without even having to actually hike that particular area. Kind of makes sense when you think about it, but it really works really good skirting the edges of fields. You can see all of these tracks that are going through this particular field very well. And I think this thing is currently flying at about 15 feet off the air, but look at how well you can see everything. I mean, if we're talking about a 16-inch, squatch print, you'll be able to see that from ways up in the air. And I'm just covering this thing pretty quick. See, I covered that whole field in just a few seconds, and I didn't even have to put on my hiking boots. The first thing I've been doing when I get out on a location is I'll take off and fly up real high and kind of do a 360-degree circle, take a look to see if there's anything going on that I don't know about. Chances of you possibly catching a squatch off guard by doing something like that, better than average, but hey, you never know. But it's a good way to start out. And from there, you start looking for things that you want to go fly over to and take a good look at. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking fly over the creek and then lower yourself down to the water level or just above and, move along the creek looking for tracks on the bank. That really doesn't work. I've already tried that. The reason is because once you get down below tree level, you start getting radio signal interference from the trees. And the drone will start telling you, oh, we're losing signal, and so you really can't do that. But I thought of the same thing. Now, just so you know, this particular area that you're looking at here on the north side of the creek, this is where I believe that they actually live. It's extremely isolated over there. The woods are thick. It's even slightly hilly. Man, I'll tell you what, that's a piece of property that's probably hasn't had very many humans actually walk through it. This whole place, it's hard to believe that this is in northwestern Oklahoma. Sit down and you really look at it. People would think that this would be southeastern Oklahoma. All right, now do you see that open area just ahead of us? Yeah, I do too. So let's fly over there. We will hover over it. We will pan the camera down, and we will use the zoom. This particular drone has a 2-power zoom and a 4-power zoom, but as you will see here in a second, 4-power zoom is quite a bit. There's 2. There's 4. That's a lot of zoom, really, especially when you consider I'm about 90 feet up in the air right now. As you can see, there's a couple of hog wallers over there, and you can see that smaller animals have moved in and out of there. This area was apparently flooded at one point in time. I do not see any Sasquatch prints down there. Maybe you do, but I don't. So we're going to eventually end up moving off from this area. All right, we're going to fly back over that area that I believe that they inhabit. The truth is this time of year is not the best for being able to see down through the foliage. If I was making this exact same flight trajectory in the middle of the winter when all the leaves and everything were off the trees, we probably would be able to see better. But hey, you can't have it all. And you never know what you're going to see this time of year anyway. Now, I thought this was interesting. Here's a couple of mud holes that look like they need to be investigated. But look at all the small animal trails coming in and going out of these things. It's pretty interesting. Now I'm going to level with you. Whenever I'm actually piloting this thing, the sun's out, it's kind of hard to see in my cell phone screen and everything. I'll get a better look at this video footage once I get it back home and I can put it on the big screen on my TV. I would love to have missed something and to review it on the TV and actually be inspired enough to go back and try to cast some prints tomorrow. That would be great. Yeah, I'm seeing that too, but I gotta say, I don't think that's anything good. As you can see, this thing can actually cover some ground pretty quick. I've actually got it in cinematic mode, which is the slowest mode that has. I've never really used it in the sport mode. Up ahead, though, you're going to see there's a bunch of, I believe they're Canadian geese. I decided to do kind of a flyover to see what would happen, but nothing happened. Truth be known, it probably wasn't the smartest thing to do. Okay, here we go again. We're not too high off the ground. We've got the camera pointed slightly downwards, but yet we can still see the horizon. And we are out looking for more tracks, and particularly big tracks walking across the field here. Always got to check those mud holes. You never know what's going to be. All kinds of animals come into these mud holes. Here's another nasty mud hole. This thing always seems to have water standing in it. I've checked this thing on foot multiple times looking for tracks. I've never found any, but this will be the first time I've actually flown my drone over it and checked from the air. Oh, do you see what I'm seeing? Yep. Let's go ahead and fly in closer, get it centered up, and we'll zoom in, take a closer look. Oh, doesn't appear to be anything. That's okay though, at least now we know. Now, one of the original thoughts that I had was to take these things out and deploy them at river bridges and fly them up and down the river looking for prints in the sandbars. I still think that's a good idea, but apparently that wasn't an option at this particular location. Doesn't seem to be a sandbar at all. Now, if the water level wasn't so high, we would have some nice banks to which we could possibly find all kinds of footprints in. Oh, looky there. What's that off to the left? We need to go investigate. Well, I guess sometimes the creek overflows or the lake backs water up in here. Now, these are the type of, sandbars, mud banks that we would possibly find something in. So we're going to have to take a good look and look and see if there's any kind of evidence left. This looks like a good place to hang out and get water. Yeah, I saw these little spots here on the bank too. Wasn't really sure what to make of them. Maybe that's a place where they hang out at. I didn't see any footprints, but if they were just sitting there wouldn't be any footprints. I don't know. There were two of them. I didn't see any others, so you tell me. See this remote, isolated little cove back up in there? Seems like that would be a great place for Sasquatch to spend the day. Just saying. As you can see, you can cover a lot of ground with this thing. Also, you're getting a completely different perspective. You know, you've always got the ground level stuff, and then you've got satellite imageries, which I use a lot. But this is a whole different view. So I completely changed locations, and I went out to a spot where my brother had kind of a weird encounter where he was canoeing up and down this creek, and he had something throw a fish at him. And it's kind of an oddball story, but anyway, most cryptid encounters are anyway. But somewhere out in here where you're looking, right there, that direction right there, once I got everything put up and I was actually loading everything up to go home, that's when I heard what sounded like children laughing coming from that area that you're looking at right there. Pretty unusual. I'd never heard that before. Didn't know what to make of it. So going out and doing these flyovers, it's not the same. And I'm sure I'm missing a lot of evidence, but you know, I'm not getting any ticks. I'm not getting my legs all scratched up with thorny vine. I mean, heck, if I wanted to, I could probably sit in my car and sit in the air conditioning and pilot this thing. This is what I call a win, and I can't wait to see what I can do with it during the winter time. And if you have any ideas about how I could utilize this drone to come up with more evidence, man, you need to give me a holler. I'm all ears.